was the party
Not
of
this.
you
No.
know, the slave codes. Well, those are different.
You know, the veins in your body, they're blue because the blood hasn't been oxygenated yet. Did you think about that? How can I resist?
Black conservatives are everywhere.
That's why I'm here to show my support as a black man for Trump.
Pollsters can't get enough of them.
The historic levels of support the Republicans are getting from black folk under Trump.
Donald Trump is cozying up to them.
Come here, let me give you a...
And the RNC was full of them.
President Trump, we
Too high to reply, thank you for the gift sub.
have the greatest economy in our lifetime.
America is not a racist country.
Can you imagine President Donald Trump coming to a city and calling a pastor like me?
You've probably heard a lot of people talking about black Republicans, but I spent all of the RNC talking to black Republicans.
So it is with being a black conservative. I equate it to being gay back in the 50s or 60s. You didn't come out the closet then.
And so you look at the people who really saying that about Trump. It's not no uppity Negroes. It's Negroes out the real hood.
And that's one reason why I'm pro-Trump and I'm a conservative, is because I truly believe in the individualistic
MAGA.
approach to the problems that we see within the black community or in America as a whole.
Black Republicans specifically are some of the most disliked and unpopular political figures within the black community for a reason.
I'm pissed.
Of the 4 black Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives, zero represent majority black districts.
I am royally pissed.
In fact, they all represent majority white districts, something they seem to be very proud of.
Playing a little bit of the Key and Peele sketch makes me wanna go and watch it. Maybe we will watch it. Maybe we'll watch it. I don't know how many of you guys have seen the royally pissed one. I guess like ones if you've seen it. Twos if you haven't seen it. I'm so out of pocket, dude. It's so crazy, dude. It's so crazy. Oh my god, they're comedic geniuses, dude. So good. Get those, man. Okay, anyways, back to the video.
South Carolina is majority white.
That was
right?
Theo from The Cosby Show. I never really watched The Cosby Show.
That's Scotia. My district is majority white district. Your
I think I was
district
too
is majority
young.
white district, correct? Michigan, really. Florida, is your district majority white district? Well, how do we get here?
Like, a lot of white people had to vote for it.
There is an obvious disconnect, and that's what I want to explore today. I wanted to know what draws a black person to identify with this Republican Party.
Trump has been for black people, regardless of what the media say, for a long time.
The Bible say we perish through a lack of knowledge, right? So until you teach the people, that's the only way they're gonna learn. So it's our job, me especially as a black conservative, to get out there, get on the ground, and teach these people all about the black conservative movement. And when you look at the movement now, especially right now, we speaking, baby.
I learned a lot about black Republicans in these conversations. Their motivations, their stories, their goals. These are real people with genuinely held beliefs. Beliefs that I largely disagree with, and I told them as much.
It wasn't policy. It was white people.
It wasn't white people. It was
no. Let's be very clear. It was white people. No.
I tried to have respectful dialogue with them. So in this video, I want to share these people with you, but I'll also share some of my reflections on the experience of listening to, fact-checking, and disagreeing with black Republicans. I learned a lot about black Republicans, and I think you will too. So with that, let's dig in. In talking to black Republicans, I found that their most consistent ideological North Star was an emphasis on personal responsibility. For those I spoke to, there was a real value for rigid individualism as opposed to collective progress and identity. Take Topher, for example. He's a Christian rapper, has millions of followers online, and believes, according to him, in an individualistic approach to progress for black people.
And that's one reason why I'm pro-Trump and I'm a conservative, is because I truly believe in the individualistic approach to the problems that we see within the black community or in America as a whole. And you can think about it, Black Wall Street, Harlem Renaissance, all that time, we was doing great. But when the policies came in and started destroying the black community slowly and slowly. Matter of fact, it was supposed to get rid of poverty or at least lessen it, but we have more poverty now than we had back then.
I think you'll notice a theme of dissonance present in these interviews. On the one hand, for example, Topher endorses an individualistic approach to solving the problems we face as a community. But on the other hand, he points to Black Wall Street or the Harlem Renaissance, communities that I would consider on the Mount Rushmore of Black collective power. And he points to them as times we should look back on with admiration. The question is, which one is it? Is it rigid individualism where we get it out of the mud on our own? Or is it about creating communities where we work together to build our collective resources? What's also interesting is that somehow for him, these communities no longer exist because of liberal or progressive policy decisions.
But when the policies came in and started destroying the black community slowly and slowly. Matter of fact, it was supposed to get rid of poverty or at least lessen it, but we have more poverty now than we had back then.
I think it's worth pointing out that this more poverty now than back then line is verifiably false. It falls in line with a theme that people like Byron Donalds have advanced continuously throughout this election cycle. The idea that we were better off in any way during the Jim Crow era.
During Jim Crow, the black family was together.
Yeah, that's right.
During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative, because black people always have been conservative-minded, but more black people voted conservatively.
It's worth noting that the black poverty rate has been falling ever since black people started receiving civil rights protections. It's almost as if these progressive policies worked.
Whoa,
Now, you
whoa,
mentioned
whoa, 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 whoa. Watch it, liberal. The poverty rate obviously was falling because people started embracing individualism. Obviously. Working poor. Thank you so much for the tier 1. Thank you.
Black Wall Street, brother. And I want to be very real with you.
Yeah.
Black Wall Street was Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Greenwood District, where black people built their own community, had their own self-sustained community, beautiful economy, making it for themselves, and white people destroyed it.
Yeah.
It wasn't policy. It was white people.
Well, it wasn't white people. It was
no. Let's be very clear. It was white people.
No.
No.
It was those white people.
It was white people in that community. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And and let me just say this: Elaine, Arkansas. Rosewood in Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, the Sweet Auburn District, North Nashville in Nashville, Tennessee. Each one of these communities were booming black economies where white people, not in the same place, but it was the same group of people every time, destroyed those communities. So you can't say it's policy when when black people do what they need to do and build for themselves and white people destroy it. Yeah. So why is it that you would frame it as a policy thing?
I didn't frame it as a policy thing.
We can rewind it.
You said it was white people.
You mentioned.
I said it wasn't white people. It was those white people. And the reason why I'm saying that is because now we're trying to categorize all white people as evil. No. And what I'm trying to say is back then, because a lot of people.
I love to just like randomly making shit up.
Record. Black Wall Street rebuilt themselves after that. 4 years after that, Black Wall Street rebuilt everything they had, and they prospered for the next 40 years until policy came in and destroyed it because they decided to build a freeway over their town. And that
actually, more specifically, it was white conservatives that destroyed those places? Correct.
So what I'm saying is, if we look at policy and the cultural essence of most things, right? It's not just policy, it's culture.
I was trying to draw a distinction between the nature of progressive policy, like the Civil Rights Act, or Supreme Court decisions to overturn segregation, and white supremacist policy, like destroying black communities. But the subject kept changing. Lucky for you, I actually made a video about Tulsa, Oklahoma's Greenwood District. It was definitely white racism that destroyed Black Wall Street and other black communities through explicitly racist acts of state-sanctioned violence. This is why an accurate, full telling of history is so important. Black oppression and black progress have always had a collective quality to them. Black people have been, throughout American history, targeted as a group, from slavery to black codes to Jim Crow to mass incarceration to anti-inclusion efforts today. But we've also made progress by harnessing the power of collective action during Reconstruction and the Civil Rights Movement, and even today during the black-owned business boom.
From LBJ, that's why he said we have these Negroes voting Democrat for the next 200 years. But all those policies have not done what they promised. Would you agree?
I would not agree.
So you think we're better off as black people now than we were before LBJ passed those policies?
Yes, brother. We can vote without the threat of violence. Are you talking about the Civil Rights Act of 1964? Is that what you're describing as a negative thing?
I'm not saying the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was. I'm talking about.
That's LBJ. I just want to be clear. That's LBJ who you said we better off before LBJ. LBJ signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
I'm talking about the war on poverty.
I just want to answer that one. I want to answer that specific one first. Was the Civil Rights Act of 1964 bad
I
thing?
agree with the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
Thank you.
But at the same time, I'm also put like this. I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery.
I don't know what that means. Explain.
I like that the interviewer is taking like a persistent psychic damage dot just the entire time.
Means is I would rather, given the fact that even back then we still had our families together, communities were stronger back then, I would rather deal with the dangerous freedom of not knowing and controlling people with policies as much as possible versus the peaceful slavery of being married and tied to the government.
Given Trump's well-documented history of saying and doing racist things, I wanted to know how these black people could be drawn into Trump's political orbit. So I talked to Pastor Lorenzo Sewell.
Yeah, so anyone that wants to come to church, they're able to come. So when President Trump called, I thought about it like you calling me and saying, Pastor, I want to invite a friend to church who has 34 felonies. Hey, Pastor, I want to invite a friend to church who is a womanizer. Hey, Pastor, I want to invite a friend to church who could be a racist.
He's the lead pastor at a black church in Detroit that Trump visited earlier this year. And he was also a featured speaker at the RNC.
So all my friends back in Detroit who are Democrats, I want to ask you just one simple question. You can't deny the power of God on this man's life. You can't deny that God protected him. Could it be that Jesus Christ preserved him for such a time as this? Could it be?
Why should black people support the Republican ticket and Donald Trump specifically?
That's a good question. You know, what I would say to any black person is this, specifically about the Republican platform. I would say, look, do your research, right? I would say, look back to 170 years ago in this state where a group of patriots stood up and they started that grand old party to stop the expansion of slavery. If a black person said, well, Pastor, Donald Trump is racist, the Republican Party is racist, well, let's play that theme out throughout history. Let's look at who was the party of slavery, who was the party of Jim Crow, right? Who's the party
Not
of
this.
no.
You know,
the slave codes. Well, those are different.
you know, the veins in your body, they're blue because the blood hasn't been oxygenated yet. Did you think about that? I bet you didn't think about that. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. To say something that is so totally disingenuous with such confidence is incredible. It's just amazing. It's crazy. What's the video called? It's I Spent a Week with Black Republicans by Mother Jones.
Democrats. Let's have that conversation. And when you look at when the Senate was integrated, those were Black Republicans. When we look at Frederick Douglass, Black Republican. So that's on the political side, why I believe that a Black American should be willing to look at the Republican platform. In terms of my political convictions as a pastor, my conviction in my heart. A Black woman's womb is the most dangerous place for a Black child to be. So, if a Black American,
Yeah,
specifically
looks like he's about to lose it.
Black woman, my conversation would be, give our Black babies a chance. Look at the Republican Party in terms of President Donald J. Trump. This is what I would say. Don't look at the container, look at the content, right? Don't look at the man, look at the mission, right? Don't look at his past. Look at what your agenda is for your community in the future.
Conservatives are leading the charge to remove protections for voting rights, protections for maternal mortality, interventions in California, affirmative action.
I love that this guy didn't respond to any of the fucking platitudes. And was like, all right, we're moving on from that. Wait, did he say Donald Day Trump? I didn't even see that. That's amazing.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. These are all issues that pertain directly.
And like, to be fair, this guy is like, he's like a grifter, right? I mean, maybe he believed some of it, at least a little bit, but he does it because it makes money. That's why he does it, right? So he doesn't care, and he knows that he's spreading bullshit.
To the people that I know that you serve in your community. Why should they support the party behind the hindrance, the advancement of the very things that I know you stand for?
Sure. Black people that I know, that I represent, that I've had these conversations with, they don't want to be put in a position because they're Black. There's not one Black person I know that will say to me, Lorenzo, I deserve this position because I'm Black.
But I want to. You know that that's not what DEI is. DEI is about.
What are we smiling and laughing about? What the? I'm scared.
Fair hiring practices, opening up opportunity, like creating pathways, like.
But you're smart. You're an intelligent man, and those that would say this, I believe they're very intelligent. It costs more money not to hire the person who's the best than to be racist. It actually costs more money. So if you're the best at what you do, right? And let's just say I'm a racist. So let's just say that.
I'm so sorry. The interviewer doing the little head shake and the widening of the eyes. Total hypothetical. Yeah. Total hypothetical. Because obviously.
Lay that out, right? So let's just say I'm a racist. So let's just say that. Lay that out, right? And let's just say, hey, there are 20 white guys that are not as competent as you, but I'm not going to pick you because you're Black. It's going to cost me more money.
They don't even know that this qualified person exists, right?
Sure, I hear you.
The pathways are the problem. And a lot of what diversity, equity, and inclusion is doing is creating those and helping to clarify those pathways. And so framing it as an unqualified person getting the job when we know, you and I both know, that there are plenty of qualified Black people or Latino people or women who don't end up with jobs.
100%. And I agree with you. I do think relationships and proximity.
You can just tell this guy is just selling. I'm not even being sold a product, and I'm being sold a product. You're an intelligent person. No, I totally agree with you, 100%. I'm gonna fucking throw up, dude. Jesus, I'm not fucking signing up for any of your garbage.
In his book, The Grift, Clay Kane details the history of how Black conservatives have thrown Black people under the bus to get ahead personally. From Black Republicans.
Oh, yeah. And then this is obviously the most common, I guess, like capitalism problem. One person pushing a dogshit agenda that will ruin millions of people's lives for personal gain. Just tuned in. That wasn't a skit. Oh, to be you 5 seconds ago when you thought it was a skit. Oh, to be you 5 seconds ago. Sure. Yeah, it was a skit. Sure. I think a lot of the conservative values, I think a lot of conservative values appeal to mostly Black men, but obviously Black women as well, and the Black community in general, because as long as you can have some cognitive dissonance about the whole racism stuff, and you don't really give a fuck about policy, some of the ideas seem really nice. I drew a little diagram, and usually I write with the crayon, but this time I actually use the text. Look, it's all so pretty and clean. And I think when conservatives are trying to market themselves to the Black community, they tend to focus on like these things like rugged individualism, personal responsibility, abortion relating to personal responsibility, community and family values. And it all is kind of like tied into the survivorship bias. Like, hey, the only difference between you and your mediocre neighbors is that you try hard. And I bet if they tried really hard, and don't forget about church. Oh yeah, I don't know how I forgot about religion. Religion is also a very big one as well. Religion. And yeah, if you just grind harder, you can be a millionaire. That's the only thing that's stopping you, right? And it's such an appealing notion, right? The American dream. I mean, how many millions of people have immigrated here because it is such an admirable notion that as long as you try hard, the system rewards those who try. And conservative politicians, they hope that people fall for these narratives. They hope for people fall for the myth of meritocracy, because the idea is so appealing. It's so appealing that the only thing stopping you from living well is how hard you try. And you're better than the people around you just because you try a little bit harder. But obviously, number one, very common quote, none of them realize that they're far closer to being homeless than they are to being a millionaire. Correct? And number two, you don't really know what other people are going through, and you can't fix you can't fix large problems, systemic problems with individual responsibility. You can't fix that. And historically, we have evidence and data to show that good policy leads to better outcomes, that you can set people up for success. I love to use the example of the study that I read a few years back, talking about how there is not really such a thing as like people with more willpower than other people. It's more that the people with, quote, more willpower just set themselves up for success in a way that people without willpower don't. I think the study that I read was about like people attempting to lose weight or people attempting weight loss or whatever. It's not that fucking Sally has more willpower than Jim, right? That's not what's happening. It's that when fucking Sally goes to the supermarket, she goes on a full stomach and she doesn't buy stuff that she knows she's going to binge. But when Jimmy goes to the supermarket, he goes when he's starving and he picks up all the things and he's like, no, I'll eat them responsibly. Yeah, I'm buying like 100 things that are high, like super, super high in sugar. But later I can control myself later. But here's the thing, if you put the fucking pack of Oreos.
I'm once again distracted by Denims. My willpower is next level.
Oh, shit. 1 second. What was I saying? Think. Denim confirms baldness and obesity is lack of willpower. True. If you're bald, you're just not trying hard enough. How would that work? Oh, God. Oh. But anyways, if you put these fucking Oreos in Sally's house, she too will binge them. And if you put them in Jimmy's house, he's going to binge them too. The only difference between the two of them is that one of them sets themselves up for success and the other one doesn't. And it's the same thing on like larger scale issues, right? Let's talk about going to school, going to class, truancy or whatever. Yeah, you can tell parents to just be better parents and be like, yeah, well, you should raise your kids better and take them to fucking school, which, by the way, go for it. Good luck trying that out. Have fun trying to tell a parent that they should parent better. But let's say you do that, right? Let's say you fucking do that. How many are going to listen to? How many of them are going to listen to you? You have no way of knowing how many of them are going to listen to the public service announcement that taking your kid to school is good for them. But guess what? If you make schools within walking distance, if you make schools interesting and fun, and you make classes enjoyable to go to, and you pay teachers more, and they have better trained teachers, kids will want to go to school because they like all their teachers, and they like their classes, and they will enjoy every second they spend in school. I mean, I liked learning. And the classes that I had bad teachers, I didn't want to pay attention in that class. I was like, fuck you. I tried my hardest on this paper, and you said I misinterpreted what the book meant. I read the fucking book, I wrote this paper, and I still got a fucking C on it? Are you kidding me? What do you mean I got a C? I tried my fucking best on this stupid thing. It's not very fun to have that experience. It just makes you want to give up in that class. But when you have a teacher that's like, okay, you're not supposed to solve the math problem this way, because we haven't got to this way of solving it yet. I'm going to give you credit, but the next time you do this, I can't give you credit because we're not there yet. So I need you to learn how to do it this way. Okay? Okay, I wrote down notes on your exam. So next time if you do it, I can't give you credit for it, okay? All right. Work as a teacher and then readdress this topic. Work as a Twitch streamer and then recognize that Twitch chatters suck. I'm just kidding, just you. If you paid teachers better and you gave teachers better training, classes would be more enjoyable. It's not that complicated. It's very simple. It's very, 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 very simple. No, but unironically, this was just my English teacher that gave me a C because the doorknob being blue signified how sad the reader was when they read that passage. Okay? Obviously. No, it was fucking blue, bitch. I'm sorry that your students hate you because you're insufferable. Sorry. Why are teachers paid so low in the first place? Because our government has totally gutted all the fucking programs. You guys ever have a teacher humiliate you in class? And you're not even someone who disrupts class. I would get like, I was checking my report card. Yeah, I was, going through my Hall of Fame, checking my report card. I had a 91% cumulative GPA, not to brag or anything. But, and I was checking, I was like, what are all these 65s? It's like all my PE classes. That I didn't give a fuck about. What was I saying? I don't remember what I was fucking saying. Oh, yeah, I would do really well on my exams. I would do my homework and shit, but I also like to doodle in class. Like just drawing on like the little sides of my notebook. And teachers would try and humiliate me. I was like, I'm not even disrupting anyone. I'm not talking to anyone else. I'm minding my own fucking business. I get A's in your fucking class. I do your homework. I fucking get A's in your exams. And you're going to humiliate me because I'm doodling? What the fuck? What the fuck? You power tripping motherfucker. Go become a cop, fucking loser. I understand kids that are actively being disruptive, that are yelling or talking in class or throwing stuff. Yeah, I understand that. I get that. Those are actually impacting other kids' ability to learn. But like, oh my God. I got up to throw out some garbage, got mad, and demanded I grab the trash out of the can and put it back in my pocket. He was mad at others disrupting his class and took it out on me. Incredible. Incredible. I used to like sit pretzel style when I was in class because it was just the most comfortable. And I had one teacher that didn't let me sit like that. She was like, no, you have to sit correctly in my class. I was like, why? 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 Literally, what? I don't even understand why this matters. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't know how we got on this topic, but I remember. We were talking about conservative values and stuff. Yeah, you're not going to fix kids cutting class by telling parents to tell their kids to go to class. You're going to fix kids cutting class when you solve the reason why they're cutting class in the first place. And why do kids cut class? Because they don't want to be in class because class is fucking boring as shit, dude. It's pretty simple. It's not difficult. It's not difficult at all. Hi, Dembo. Also, I don't know. I didn't like that. I feel really bad for also kids that didn't do well with like authority figures because I didn't really give a fuck. But man, that really does not. Anyways, sorry, going off topic. Moving on. Sorry, I have a dumb question. I'm not from the US. What is a conservative? Basically just someone who believes in a lot of hypocrisy. So they say that they like small government, except in the instances where they like big governments. They say that they basically across the board don't like trans people, gay people. They don't like women being able to have abortions. They don't like government handouts ever, except if it's to major corporations. And yeah, big business is the best. Big business is the absolute best. Where'd you get your top from? TBQH, I get almost all my stuff thrifting because it's just like the easiest to get them from. So I don't know where it's from. In grade 11, English teacher was giving out bonus 1% for good behavior all the time. Halfway through the term, he read out the names of people who still had the bonus. He didn't say me. I raised my hand and said, when did I? And then he said it was obvious I lost it. It's fucking bullshit, man. Oh, that chatter was responding to what a conservative is, I think. What? I don't understand. Anyways, let's get back to the video.
Republicans like Isaiah Montgomery and Booker T. Washington.
Are you going from left to right in the topics in the title? No, I'm going from right to left.
To modern Black Republicans like Clarence Thomas. Clay Cane makes the case that the modern Black Republican is likely, if not assuredly, a grifter, a person who is doing that which is politically expedient rather than doing what is right, doing whatever they need to do to get that all expenses paid trip to fancy places. I couldn't help but wonder if some of the folks I was talking to fit that description. So I asked Pastor Lorenzo whether or not he was a grifter.
In my reporting, I've spoken to Clay Cane, who wrote a book about grifters, how sometimes Black Republicans will align themselves with political power for their own personal advantage.
Sure.
What do you say to a person who says, hey, like, you're a talented, gifted person, but we didn't necessarily know who you were, but now you're speaking on one of the biggest platforms in the world tonight?
Quite frankly, I don't need another opportunity to speak. Has the Republican Party said, Lorenzo, we're going to write you a big check? No. If they did, it's just going to go right to the community anyway, right at the end of the day, because that's where my salary goes.
You've mentioned Frederick Douglass and others from the 1800s, early 1900s. In those times, Black Republicans were elected by Black people.
Sure.
Today, Black Republicans, they're elected in majority white districts.
Agreed.
Why is it difficult, maybe even some would say impossible, for a Black Republican to be elected in a Black?
That's a good question. You know what? I'll wrestle with that. I think the biggest problem is the Republican Party, in my opinion. They have, I believe, drifted from their roots in terms of Black people having authority within that party. I don't believe the Republican Party has learned well how to support financially those who are Black Republicans that want to come out the closet. I equate it to being gay back in the 50s or 60s, right? Or even 70s. You didn't come out the closet then. Like the movie Philadelphia, right? Because you could be ostracized. So it is with being a Black conservative. We have been, the Lord has blessed our church. He's been very kind to us to really serve our community. However, me just having President Trump at our church, if I could play the voicemail, sir. These are the ones I haven't had time to delete.
Ugh.
If I could send you the emails where it's like, really? I mean, people that I thought loved me, they're like, calling me everything but a child of God. I'm like, hold on for a second. Can we have a conversation? Why are you like, not?
How has that made you feel?
You know, I was a drug dealer. I was a street pharmacist, right? Former. So people that you love are hurts. I have to be frank with you, you know. But other people that don't know you, don't understand your motives, I get it. When tensions are high, motives are questions. And tensions have been high in our country as it pertains to politics. So people question my motives. I understand that. But for the people that love you, it hurts. It really does. And that's the reason why Black people won't come out the closet.
A relatively small percentage of Black people will vote for Trump this November. But I have a take and I want to share it with you. A more inclusive and racially diverse Republican Party could be a good thing. American conservatives and Republicans have made the lives of Black people difficult on purpose. From the Southern strategy to welfare queens to anti-woke, anti-DEI stuff today, American conservatives have galvanized their white base by making the lives of Black people harder. It could be a good thing to see more Black Republicans if it means that the Republican Party is becoming actively hostile to the racists who have called that party their home for the last 60 years at least. Make American politics inhospitable to racists. I'm all in on that platform. But the reality is that racists, or at least racism enablers, were present and accounted for at the RNC. They were given stage time, had exclusive access, and seemed central to the whole operation. And I'll tell you what did not feel central. Black people. I actually attended the Black delegate event during the RNC, and something really interesting happened. The event was taking place away from the main convention center. And in the middle of it, unexpectedly, former President Donald Trump's motorcade could be heard approaching the event from a distance. People have been having a great time before that moment, but you should have seen the excitement on people's faces when they realized it was Trump approaching their event. It really felt like this big moment of acknowledgement, the perfect punctuation in a banner year for Black Republicans. Journalists and news crews were scrambling to get into position to make sure they captured that moment when he comes to this event. But then his motorcade just drove by. It turned out he wasn't coming to the event. It wasn't on his schedule. It just happened to be along his route.
God damn. Oh my God, this is so embarrassing, man. Like straight up fan behavior. Like just call yourself a Swiftie. It's less embarrassing, I think. They can stoke both racist and attempt to appeal to minorities. Hypocrisy is a feature. It's giving Stockholm syndrome to the system that hurts you. Dude, every capitalist in America that isn't a millionaire.
He waved at us. In case you didn't see it, he waved.
The disappointment for this group of Black Republicans was tangible and kind of poetic. And I think that's my big concern with the future of the Republican Party. The RNC had quite a few drive-by acknowledgments that Black people exist, but little to no substantive action plans for how they would show up and be present with and for this community. And if I'm honest with you, I think that's on purpose. The only way the Republican Party becomes this ideologically conservative but racially inclusive big tent party is if there is a fundamental rejection of the people and policy and practice they currently hold as sacred, near and dear to their political vision. As long as the GOP makes racial justice a political issue worth fighting against, a majority of Black people will never vote for the party. As long as teaching Black history is woke, as long as race-conscious solutions to race-conscious problems are demonized, as long as they commit to denying racism's impact on society, Black people, by and large, are not going to vote for them. But these guys may. And that might be good enough for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I like I said, I stand by the stance that I have on conservative values. Just here are the conservative values in modern America. And there are a lot of Black Americans that want to believe in these things and want to believe that if you make enough good personal choices, your life is good. And the people whose life sucks, it's because they didn't make enough good choices in their lives. But obviously nothing is that simple, first of all. Okay. But more importantly, you have to have, but besides the fact that conservatives won't actually ever help you, they just scream platitudes at you. Besides that, ignoring that major fact, it has to take a certain type of person that really, really wants to believe that they are the only factor in their life that matters Like, there is no one else that can impact their life as much as they can. To ignore all the very blatant racist shit that the Conservative Party spouts all the time. All the time. And worst yet is when people, I mean, any minorities really, but when Black people think that, oh, well, did you consider that maybe there is too much woke DEI occurring? It's like, bro, dude. Whoa, dude. Those face-eating leopards will never eat my face.